Well, while we're waiting for another question, I want to emphasize how bad the Build Back Better program was, which, the progressive Democrats got all enthusiastic about it like it was a Green New Deal. And what it was really doing was fracking the hell out of the country for oil and gas. There was nothing in it to stop that. Under the Biden administration, we've been giving out oil and gas permits at a faster rate than the Trump administration did. Of course, now it's worse with the war in Ukraine and US oil and gas companies looking to fill the European market and replace their oil and gas or replace Russian oil and gas with US sourced oil and gas. So we're going the wrong direction there. And then, as I mentioned earlier, they included as clean energy, fossil fuel power plants that had carbon capture and sequestration, a big push for nuclear power. I mean, even AOC said she's open to it. I don't think she knows much about it, but most of the plants we got should be retired. They were designed to last at most 40 years, and they've been getting extensions from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, which we used to call in the anti-nuclear movement, nobody really cares, or Nuclear Rubber Stamp Commission. They've had their lifetimes extended to 60 years and 80 years in a few cases, and now their proposals coming in for 100 years. And that's really dangerous because that radiation embrittles parts in plants, so they become more vulnerable to breakdown. And of course, they're uneconomical. We have subsidies in New York and Ohio. I guess in Ohio, they found out there was bribery involved in getting the bill passed, but it's come back. So they're fighting over that. I think that's where that stands. I think New Jersey's got subsidies. And then they tried to build nukes in South Carolina and Georgia. And the ones in South Carolina had such cost overruns and construction delays, they just abandoned the project. They're still building 2 nukes at the Vogtle, where there already are 2 nukes at Vogtle in Georgia. And the only reason that's happening, and they're throwing good money after bad, huge cost overruns. The cost is now double what they planned. The plants are, way over, the time when they're supposed to go online. And the only reason they're doing that is Governor Kemp beat Stacey Abrams, or she got the election stolen from her. And Kemp is a creature of Duke Power and the Southern Company. And so he's doing what his, campaign donors are bidding. So, my basic point is even with Build Back Better, which, the progressives were, they made this terrible deal. And this is, I think, a mistake. They, instead of going to the public and building support for a real Green New Deal, they said, we will negotiate inside. They played the inside game. And they got out negotiated. They got tricked. They didn't have the votes. There was always Manchin and Sinema and other more conservative Democratic senators behind them. And there were, at least a dozen on the House side who never wanted these programs. And so they got the infrastructure bill separated from the Build Back Better, which is more about the care economy. And then they got stabbed in the back by these conservatives. So they didn't even get the limited climate programs, let alone the care programs that they bargained for. And, that's the game they're playing now. They're still playing the inside game. The Congressional Progressive Caucus just endorsed the corporate Democrat who beat Nina Turner, the progressive who was a spokesperson for Bernie Sanders in Cleveland in a special election. Now they're having a rematch, and they're not supporting Nina Turner. And that's, they're trying to accommodate to the more corporate Democrats, who then accommodate to the extremist Republicans. I mean, we've seen that in the voting rights. They won't lift the filibuster to get, the voting rights and election protection bills passed to preempt what the Republicans are doing in about 20 states, which is suppress the ability of people to vote, particularly people of color, people likely to vote Democratic. And they're taking over the administration of elections so they can steal damn elections. And the Democrats just seem to have rolled over for them. They emphasized Build Back Better, not voting rights, didn't get the filibuster lifted, and now they got none of it. because they keep trying to compromise with people that are going to stab them in the back anyway. That's why we need an independent Green Party on the left that just sticks back guns and, you know, mobilizes, as I said earlier, the public sentiment that's already with us. I mean, there's a real opportunity there. We just got to stick with it. I think it's unfortunate that so many progressives feel when the election comes up, they got to settle for the lesser evil to stop the extremist Republicans. Understandable, but they're not, you know, what do you get? You silence yourself. If you're for a Green New Deal and you voted for Biden, you voted against the Green New Deal. If you wanted Medicare for all and you voted for Biden, you voted against Medicare for all, and so forth. So you silenced yourself. So I think that's an argument that we got to make to people who hesitate. And I can't see the questions. I'll keep talking if there are no more questions.
There's a couple. I
Okay.
wanted to say too, when you were talking about the costs of nuclear, in Illinois, you know, the Democrats are really patting themselves on the back for a climate bill that they passed last year, but it provides 2 to 3 times more funding for nuclear bailouts than it actually does for renewable investments. In Illinois, we've been, in the last less than a decade, we've put $5 billion into bailouts for our, and we don't have a lot of nuclear power plants, just a few, but we're constantly bailing them out on the state level. So yeah.